Are you wondering if you should go with 4 Crimson Witch or 4 Wanderers on Yanfei? Are you doing no damage no matter how hard you try? Are you wondering which weapon is actually the best? And who should you even put on her team? Don't worry, I gotcha. This is your guide to Yanfei. If you like pink hair pyro mages of mass destruction, Yanfei is for you. If you're new here, hello, I am Hushings. I suck at the game, so I compensate with knowledge. If you haven't already, subscribe for knowledge! After that, comment I subscribed, and I will personally reply to all of your comments. Make sure you are sat back, relaxed, and if you are ready, go smash that like button. I appreciate your support very much. If you think you already know what she does, feel free to skip over here, but I would appreciate if you keep watching as well. Yanfei is best played as a sustained DPS, think Razor or Xiao, but an emphasis on charge attacks. Her Scarlet Seals make her charge attacks bigger and better, while reducing all of your stamina cost for everything. You can even dash for days. She accumulates these Scarlet Seals every time she uses her normal attacks, and she gains maximum stacks when her skill or ult is activated. On top of that, her ult grants her Scarlet Seals every second and a massive damage boost to her charge attacks. Be careful though, her ult ends if you switch out of her too early. Yanfei's first passive grants her more pyro damage for every Scarlet Seal consumed, and her second passive strikes enemies in an area if her charge attack crits, making her crits hit harder. And because the best way to play Yanfei is to smash everything with a mega large seals, prioritizing her attack talent is a no-brainer. It is totally fine to leave her skill at level 6 or 8 because its main function is to give her stacks of seals. Leave her ult for last, and it's also fine to leave it at level 6 or 8 as it doesn't actually give you as big of a damage boost as you might think. If you happen to have some constellations, or if you're wondering if you should go for some, listen up. Her first constellation is the most useful one. It makes her charge attacks consume even less stamina, allowing her to spam more charge attacks or dodge better in combat. If you play Keqing or Hu Tao often, you know what I'm talking about. Her C6 bumps her maximum seals from 3 to 4. That means even more damage, but most importantly, free charge attack. C2 is a solid crit rate buff. C4 gives a decent shield, but her C3 and C5 are pretty weak. And after some rigorous testing, I have found the best combo to obliterate her enemies with. If you are running a Fei-Price team, start with her skill and straight into her ult. Then follow it up with a cheeky charge attack. After that, repeat this 3 normal attacks into a charge attack pattern and use your E when it comes back up. If you're not running Fei-Price reactions, start with your skill into a charge attack into your ult, and another charge attack. Then repeat these 2 normal attacks into a charge attack pattern. These combos will skyrocket your damage, and the ideal combos are in the description if you're sweaty like me, but if you don't care about any of that, just make sure you attack 3 times then charge attack. Here are Yanfei's best weapons, and would you look at that! Mihoyo, you finally messed up and made free weapons great again! Map Mera and Emerald Orb would be your best free-to-play options, especially if you are running a reaction team. And the Map Mera is hidden OP. It is actually the second best 4-star you can use on Yanfei. The Witsith and the Blackcliff are decent options as they provide good crit stats. However, the Blackcliff's passive is useless when against bigger single enemies. The Witsith on the other hand can smash 5-star weapons in bursts when any of the 3 passives are active, because all 3 effects benefit Yanfei's damage tremendously, though the 30-second cooldown drags it down a lot in extended fights. But to match the theme of consistent damage, Yanfei's best 4-star weapon would be the Solar Pearl, providing Yanfei with a huge amount of crit rate so that you can proc her A4 passive way more consistently. Its passive doesn't boost her charge attack, but it does give a thick 20% bonus damage to everything else. And because Yanfei relies on her skill, ult, and normal attacks to actually charge her charge attacks, the majority of her damage is actually not from her charge attacks, but from the rest of her kit. And if you're lucky enough to have one of the 5-star weapons, the Lost Prayers actually kinda sucks. Let me explain. The passive maxes out at 32 bonus damage, but it takes 16 seconds to get there. And you have to start all over again if you switch to someone else. It is impossible to get to that max bonus unless you intended to use Yanfei solo, and give up on reactions or shields or healing, but even then, the other 5-star weapons are still better because they offer way more stats. If you use this weapon and switch to your teammates like a normal person, the passive only gives you an average of 12% bonus damage. Sure, the crit rate makes it easier to build up the crit stats, but easier is not better. This weapon is simply not good enough. In fact, it is worse than the Solar Pearl. The Skyward Atlas is the second best weapon, with its very high base attack, a thick attack substat, and even a nice boost to elemental damage, providing a good balance of everything. And the best in slot, to my surprise, is the Memory of Dust. As long as you have a shield provider like Diona or Zhongli, or if you're feeling spicy and rely on her C4, you will receive a ginormous 90% bonus to your attack in total. It's so overloaded with attack, it just smashes everything else. If you want to know how each weapon stacks up to each other at different refinements, I have something for you at the end of this video. When it comes to artifacts, if you have no other options, 2 Crimson Witch, 2 Gladiators with good substats will do the trick. And 2 Crimson Witch with 2 Wanderers is surprisingly good. But please do not use 2 Noblesse on her, it doesn't work. But if you want to maximize Yanfei's damage, the next 3 options will be your best bet. The 4-piece Retracing Bolide is super easy to activate as long as you have a solid shield, but it loses out to the next 2 due to its defensive 2-piece effect. The 4-piece Wanderer's Troop provides a massive damage bonus specifically to charge attacks of bow and catalyst users, but that is also its downfall. Because Yanfei wants to use her normal attacks, skill, and ult to charge her charge attack damage. And like I said earlier, these abilities contribute to a big portion of her damage, but the 4-piece effect doesn't benefit any of them. Insert the Crimson Witch set. Using this set would require you to play Yanfei in a Vaporize or Melt team to fully utilize its 4-piece effect. But that's hardly a downside. It boosts all of her pyro and reaction damage, and she only needs 1 single stack from the 4-piece effect to match the Wanderers. Like really, the Crimson Witch is as good as the Wanderers, but you can actually farm it. And if you decide to go with a pure pyro team, 4-piece Lava Walker would be your best bet. As for artifact stats, EM Sense is amazing, especially if you have Pyro Resonance, Bennett, and a 4 Noblesse user on your reaction team. But otherwise, Attack Sense is fine as well, though an ER Sense might be an option because that ult is just so expensive. You would also want a Pyro Goblet along with a crit rate or crit damage circlet, while also keeping an eye on your substats to maintain the 1:2 crit ratio while maximizing your crit stats. And it's a really good idea to invest in some energy recharge if you're going for an offensive stance. Otherwise, Elemental Mastery and Attack percent are good stats to have here. I'm still testing melt comps, but for now, this pure Pyro comp is really strong, especially if you have some constellations on the Pyro characters, along with these supports in the last slot. And boy, how are you so popular! Xingqiu is the essential support for a Yanfei Vaporize team. Constant hydro application, stagger and damage resistance, healing, he does everything. Add Zhongli or Bennett and follow that up with Albedo or Ningguang, or Sucrose, Fenty, or Zhongli, depending on your resonance needs, and your team is complete. Don't have too much fun! Here are all of our weapons compared along with a DPS calculator, and you can also find them on my Discord server. Okay, bye!